Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back once again to my video. Asad Yaqub here. Well guys, in this video I'm going to tell you about major problems during your actual IELTS speaking test and how to overcome these problems. Okay, this video is going to be fantastic and it's going to add some value. It's not going to be your waste of 10 minutes as you're going to spend this much amount of time on this video. Okay, problem number one. Students get confused about their speaking test. Solution. Let me tell you, IELTS speaking test is actually a friendly interview with the examiner. There will be you and examiner, a small cabin, right? There can be physical examiner or there can be examiner on laptop, on desktop. So don't worry, it's only one person with whom you are going to interact. So don't worry about that. And practice can make you confident, right? So don't worry. And one more thing. For your speaking test, arrive in time. I mean, if your speaking test is at 12 o'clock, reach there at 11:30. Not before that, okay? 11:30, observe other candidates when they come and go. This will give you some more confidence, right? Problem number two, students don't understand the question. Although IELTS speaking examiners, they never ask you questions in a hurry. They never ask you questions very fast. They pronounce each and every word very clearly when they ask you the question. But sometimes students don't seem to understand the question. That is the problem. Now, what is the solution? Solution is very simple. Tell the examiner that you do not understand the question, and examiner will either repeat the question for you or ask you another question. In both cases, it's pretty normal. There is no problem about that, okay? If they repeat the question, answer the question. And if they change the question, don't worry that one question is gone. What do I do now? And all that stuff. There is no problem, okay? Now, there is another problem. Sometimes students don't have the answer to the question. For instance, if they ask you a question, what type of music do you like? Or would you like to travel to space? Would you like to travel to other planets? Now, you don't know anything about other planets. You have no idea about space exploration and all that stuff. In that case, you have to be candid and honest, and you need to tell the examiner that this is one area about which I don't know anything. For example, if the question is, would you like to travel to space? Okay, that's quite hard for me to say anything as I've got no experience, and I think it's very difficult to travel to space. You need a lot of time, money, stamina. So I can't say anything about that as I am inexperienced in this field. So I wouldn't be able to answer this question properly. That's it. This is the answer. Okay, now, would you like to travel to outer space? And you are thinking, okay, outer space, and I would like to travel. I don't know what to say. I have no idea about that. Don't worry. If you don't have the answer, tell the examiner that you don't have the answer, okay? So in speaking part one, they will ask you questions very, very clearly and you will have no issues. If you do not understand the question, yes, during a remote speaking test, sometimes there are the glitches, like something like that, okay? There are the glitches and the keyword is lost in the glitch. Then you can ask the examiner to repeat the question, and if the problem continues, you can remove your headgear and tell the invigilator this thing is not working, okay? And then they will restart your speaking test. Don't answer the question in remote IELTS speaking without understanding the question. Otherwise, examiner will take it as wrong answer and that may impact your bench score. Now, let's move on. As far as speaking part 2 is concerned, you have cue card, and many students at times they get confused because they don't have real answer. For example, if the topic is describe a TV program you often watch and you don't watch TV, right? Describe a place you once visited and you have no idea what to say. Something like that. I mean, in that case, there is one thing I call it exaggeration, Or I call it pretending. Pretending means, for example, if the topic is describe a city you would like to visit. Now, you know you never want to go to Paris, but the topic is describe a city you would like to visit. You say, well, I would love to visit Paris. This is called exaggeration or pretending. And then you can go on, speak as much as possible. So in speaking part 2, if answer exists in your memory, or if you have experienced that thing, you can talk about that. Otherwise, you can always elaborate. You can just come up with some cooked story and speak for minimum 1 minute and maximum 2 minutes. And one more thing, in speaking, another problem, speaking part 2, another problem is candidates don't know whether 1 minute time is over or not. So for that, you need to trust the examiner. When you finish your, when your answer reaches 1 minute plus, examiner may stop you anytime. And if you finish your answer before a minute, examiner will give you a cue to carry on, right? So you need to follow the examiner for speaking part 2. As far as speaking part 3 is concerned, very common problem, questions are long. Another common problem, students don't understand what to answer. Let me tell you, for speaking part 3, these tips are really helpful. Speaking part 3 is advanced part of your IELTS speaking. There they check your language structures for band score 7, 8, 9. That's why they ask you questions using those structures which are the part of hi-fi English. Structures like comparative sentences. They will ask you to compare two things, one from the past, one from the present. After comparative structures, they will ask you to predict what will happen after 10 years, after 20 years, after 15 years. That is what we call prediction, okay? At the same time, they will ask you advantages, disadvantages of something. They will ask you for your opinion. So for all these things, if you have the right sentence structure, if you have the right vocabulary to express yourself, you may get very good bench score in part 3. Yes, one more thing. Sometimes, another problem, okay? Sometimes in speaking part 3, examiners ask you more and more questions. Like one of my students, he was asked around 20 questions in speaking part 3 and he was like, oh God, why are you asking me so many questions? Let me tell you, at times, examiner becomes indecisive. For the examiner, it is difficult to decide whether it is 6.5 or 7, 7 or 7.5. So in that case, they ask you more questions, just like plenty stroke in football, okay? So if they ask you more questions, answer every question with full interest, full energy, okay, and very actively. Don't feel down that, okay, why so many questions? I'm tired. I don't want to answer more. You need to answer every question. You don't know, one answer of yours can trigger the examiner to give you 7 or 8 band, okay? So this is another thing. One more thing, in speaking part 3, exactly, questions are long. So sometimes students forget the question. They don't remember the question. Okay, a question is asked, they start their answer. After 2 to 3 sentences, they forget the question. For that, the easy tip is, when they ask you a question, give direct answer to the question, because when you give direct answer to the question, questions are asked in interrogative sentences and you convert them to positive sentences or negative sentences, okay? So when you give a direct answer, you are actually repeating the question to yourself. When you repeat the question to yourself, your answers are gonna be fine. Never answer with because in the beginning. For example, why do people go to foreign countries? Because they want to earn, and then you forget the question. People go to other countries for multiple reasons. First of all, now when you say people go to foreign countries for multiple reasons, you're giving yourself a message that I have to give reasons here. So repeat the question in positive or negative, but you know, from interrogative to positive or negative, you need to repeat the question the way you are answering. So direct answer will help you remember the question, okay? So these are the tips and techniques. And sometimes another problem, Examiners do not give proper feedback to the candidates. Examiners are tired. Examiners are yawning. Examiners do not look at the candidates. Examiners do not give feedback to the candidates like that. Examiners are not interested in the answers. And the solution is very simple. There is that recording device on the table. If you have a feeling that examiner is not listening to you, examiner is not interested in your answer, and you're not getting positive vibes from the examiner, don't look at the examiner. Just start looking at that recording device and give answer to that recording device. And you know that recording device, just imagine that this recording device is going to give me the band score, not the examiner. I have seen students who got puzzled because of the behavior of the examiner. I have seen students who got confused because of the negative body language of the examiner. So you're not going to do that. If examiner is interested, good. If examiner is not interested, don't maintain any eye contact with the examiner, because there is no marking criteria for body language, eye contact, facial expressions and all that. Focus your intonation. Very important point. What is intonation? I love ice cream. I love ice cream. I love ice cream. See that? 3 intonations. If I say, I love ice cream, it's a question. I love ice cream. It is positive sentence. I love ice cream. See that? Sarcastic one. So this is what we call intonation. Sentence was same, wording was same, but meaning was different. I love ice cream. I love ice cream. See, you're asking, okay? So something like that. So use proper intonation, stress patterns, speak clearly, pronounce every word clearly, and you will be able to get good bench score. All the best, guys. Thank you so much. I also teach IELTS online all over the world and in campus in Lahore, Pakistan, and we offer IELTS test booking service, we offer PTE classes, and we provide IELTS study plans a couple of weeks before IELTS exam. If you're interested in any of these things, my WhatsApp number is given. You can contact me for that. I truly wish you best of luck with your IELTS speaking. And if you, when you go through your IELTS speaking test, and the experience you get, if there is anything, if there is any important point, or if anything that you find worth sharing, do share that with me. I'll be glad, and then I'll share it with others. All the best. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.